I'm a Navajo Native American Indian. I guess I was just destined to do what I do. It was like, I want to do that, Dad.
The Dennis Rodman of bull riding. The garbage man.
Honestly, I was like, shit, I made it a lot further than I thought I would.
He's a $7 million bull rider.
Pretty easy. J.B. Mooney.
You do a great job explaining. Like, I feel like I was on the bull right there.
Whenever I get hurt, I get mad. Well, you think I can't ride? Think I'm not good enough? Think I don't belong? I'm one of the best bull riders in the world.
Hey y'all, it's Pat. Welcome to another episode of Like a Farmer, powered by Ag America Media. Super excited for today's episode. First ever bull rider to come on the show, Keyshawn Whitehorse. He's from the Navajo Nation. He was a 2018 PBR Rookie of the Year. If you want to know what it takes to get on one of those bulls and ride it to victory, I need you to tune in to today's episode. As always, every single Wednesday, we're dropping a new episode on YouTube and wherever you listen to your audio podcast. Let's get into it. Keyshawn Whitehorse. Keyshawn, thanks for coming on the show today, man.
Thanks for having me.
I got to admit, first bull rider to ever come on the show is Keyshawn.
I'm glad to be the first.
I want to just start from the get-go because I just think it's a badass name, Whitehorse. Where does that come from? Family name, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it is. I'm a Navajo Native American Indian from Utah. Lived in the Navajo Reservation and just kind of grew up around there. My folks are from around there. And just that's where I am from.
So when you think about the Navajo Reservation, like that lifestyle that you grew up in, and you carry that today, what you learned from the reservation, the kind of the traits that you've learned from the reservation, in my opinion, has probably helped you with a lot of your success today in the PBR. But what is it like living in that or growing up in the reservation?
Man, it's just, I feel like it's just intertwined with a lot of family support, and I think family is a huge thing in anybody's life, you know, whether you come from the reservation or not, and we all have our cultural beliefs, and, you know, when it comes to family support and cultural beliefs, it just all meshes in within one there, and it just draws you closer to becoming the person of who you are meant to be, along with, through hardships and stuff like that, you have your family support, but you also have your cultural beliefs to help get you by and through the good times as well.
So take me back to the reservation and Keyshawn having this passion to get on a damn bull's back and just ride it for as long as he can. I mean, where does that even come from?
So within all native cultures, but a lot in the Navajo Reservation, like rodeo and the Western lifestyle is huge. And whether it's, you know, roping or anything else, the rough stock side, it's huge. And growing up, I guess my dad rode bulls a little bit. I wasn't around when he decided to do that yet, but he rode a few bulls, but it was never anything he was passionate about. I think in our culture, everybody's at least tried bull riding once or some type of rodeo event, and we had horses. My uncle had some beef cattle nearby around the house, and so one night I was sleeping, and I guess I was just destined to do what I do because I woke up. I mean, being a kid, you usually passed out all night long. You don't wake up till the next day. You might not even remember where you're at for a second. But I woke up, and he was watching, I want to say it was the NFR, but I'm not quite sure. But he was watching bull riding, and I just sat there intrigued by it, and I was like, I want to do that, Dad. That's all I said. And, you know, he looked at me, he said, all right. And that was kind of the conversation. I think at that time he thought that it was just something I was saying, something that I was just kind of putting out there, like I was just interested in, but not really wanting to pursue, or I might phase out of it soon. But then, nonetheless, he went to the tack store the next day. There's a tack store, like I want to say like an hour or two away. Went there and bought me some chaps, bought me a little calf rope and some spurs and a little glove to ride with. And eventually, soon enough, I was signed up for a whole rodeo clinic not too much longer after that. And I don't know, I never once really wanted to quit. Um, Growing up through the hard times of riding, my dad was a very competitive person. Through his competitiveness, his comes from basketball. He loved basketball, passionate about basketball. And so he transferred that over to me within my bull riding and with my training. And with that, there's been times where I've struggled and times I've done good, but the times I've struggled, I think he realized that there's always a fire within me that pushes me more. So there's been times where he's like, I didn't show enough effort, or my training didn't show, or my mind wasn't in it, and he told me like, just quit. It'd be easier on everybody if you would just quit. Like, there's no reason for us to spend this money to travel wherever we're going, to pay the entry fees, the time you put in when you're working on training. Just quit. And for some reason, he knew that would just light a fire under my ass and send me to a different zone where I would train harder and push harder. And next thing you know, the next event I'd probably win.
That's unbelievable. So when you find the passion that, hey, I want to be a bull rider, like in any other sport, you kind of look up to somebody in that sport and them competing like right now. Was there anybody that you looked up to when it comes to bull riding?
I think my younger years, I didn't necessarily have a specific person that I looked into. But the only person I feel like I can maybe, dial in of my support, or who I looked up to, is, I want to say maybe Adrian Marias. Probably more so because at that point in time, it was a Brazilian guy, different than all the other rodeo cowboys or bull riders in general. Because at that time, I mainly watched PBR, and PBR was growing and becoming so large. And so that kind of, I think maybe that resonated within me, because going out off the res, I'm a little different than everybody else because of my background. But at the end of the day, I still looked up to a lot of all the other great riders, with Justin McBride and Chris Shivers and stuff like that. But as I got older, I started to kind of key in on another Brazilian rider named Robson Palermo. And eventually, Facebook kind of came around, and it's been around for a few years. And then my mom somehow was able to message his wife on there, and next thing you know, I'm able to hang out with Robson Palermo.
Mom slid in the DMs and got you a hangout session. I love that.
Yeah. So it worked out, and I was able to go to his ranch, and this is like in the peak of his career and his prime, when at this time, I think when I first met him, he had won his second World Finals. He hadn't won his third quite yet. And so he's at the top of his game, and just being able to, I've learned so much from him just being around him at that age. We did some training stuff, and, he taught me about bull riding and whatnot, but it wasn't always like that's all we did. I would stay like a couple weeks at his place, or a few days, like between the summer every now and then. But just being around that guy, and like, as I would like to say, especially at the peak of your career like that, his aura that he puts off, you learn. And then, for me, I was like a guy that's always like, I have to have everything perfect. Like, I got to have everything clean. I have to step by step do everything. And he's the kind of guy that, he's like, well, we'll get to it, or he's just so relaxed. And I think it was so different when I would come home from hanging out with him. My parents would be like, you need to do this, or you should do this. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it, or, be more relaxed and stuff. And I think that just allows you to just be free. And when it comes to training, you're not like putting so much pressure on yourself. And when it comes to riding, you're not putting pressure on yourself. So I think it all correlated within one, and just learning how to handle life and then transfer it into bull riding like that. And going to his house and practicing during that time, some of the greats were there at the practice pen. They would come visit him. I mean, you got Silvano Alves, the 3-time PBR world champion, and he would come over to the house and practice. Fabiano Vieira, one of the best Brazilian riders, but all these great Brazilian riders going over to his house and practice. And then you got little Navajo boy there, just maybe, I think it was like freshman year in high school. and just show up. And at that moment, being there at the practice pin, it was like, it was different to me at that point in time. I didn't treat it just as practice. I would watch those guys get on, and sure, they had different bulls for me to get on. I wasn't getting on the exact same practice bulls, every single one of them. Some of them, yeah, I would get on the same ones they did, the weaker ones at that time. But I would watch them ride and kind of study them. But as soon as it was my turn, I would pretend that we were in the chute in Las Vegas, and whoever, whether it was Savano, Emilio Resende, or Marco, or Savano, or any one of those guys that just got on, if they stayed on, or Robson, I would pretend that they just rode for however many points I need to stay on to win the World Finals or win the
now
World
you're
title.
comfortable getting onto the bull.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
And I would put myself in a scenario like that just at the practice pin within that, so then I could have that feeling with myself. So whenever I did turn 18 and was able to ride in the PBR, it wouldn't feel any different to me.
Is that what it is? You have to be 18 to...
Yeah, you have to be 18. You have to be 18 years old to become a member in the PBR, to ride in the PBR.
So coming from the reservation, would you say, like, has there been anybody that's doing what you're doing at your scale that has come from where you are?
Yeah, there's been guys prior to me that have joined the PBR. They've made big splashes within the PBR, but as of being, I guess you would say, long-standing within it, I would say I'm the first one to do it from my reservation. You got another guy that's been on tour for a few years as well, not quite as long as me, but his name's Cody Jesus. He comes from the same reservation, fantastic rider. And so, but not have they won an event title, or I'm the 2018 Rookie of the Year, so I'm kind of the first one from back home that is doing the things I'm doing. And there's only more I want to do in the arena, but outside of the arena as well.
You're getting it done. And I'm excited to talk about what you want to do outside of the arena too. Before you go to the PBR, when it comes to bull riding, like, what was your first taste of competition growing up? Like, I'm just imagining myself on the reservation right now.
Right.
And it's like a Friday night and everybody just gets in a circle and you just put the baddest, meanest bull right there in the middle and somebody just hops on it. I mean, what type of competition prior to the PBR is it?
So my first actual, like, bull riding event I went to when I was a kid, I remember just about everything out of it, just because it was different. So I just got done with this rodeo clinic, and I'm just a kid. I'm trying to learn. And when you're a kid getting on these animals, there's so much adrenaline running through you that you can barely remember a ride. I mean, your vision is like, when you're on the back of an animal like that, and your vision's like looking through a straw. Like, you don't see much. It's not until you get older and you get on more and more and more, you're able to slow your heart rate down, slow your mind down, and then your vision broadens. I remember growing up, and next thing you know, one day, instead of just seeing the back, I could see the ground, I could see the bull's feet, I could start to see the bullfighters. But my first taste was actually on a small Ute town called Toyoak. They had it's just south of Cortez, Colorado. They had a little youth bull riding there, and it was a good sunny day, and I don't know what I had drawn, but something that it was a higher level than what I was used to getting on, because, I mean, all I was used to getting on is at the clinic, and that's kind of your learning trials there. And some of them don't buck very hard and whatnot, but I got bucked off, and my dad, I think he was expecting me to do good because I put so much training in, and he was a little upset, but at the end of the day, he was just still proud that I went out there and did it. But it was just different because there's going from a clinic where everybody's paying attention to you to an event where not necessarily everybody's paying attention to you. Everybody's got their own thing going on, but there's so much going on because you got kids in the back getting ready. You got dads talking to their kids. You got the announcer naming off the guys coming up next. You know, you got the rodeo entertainer talking to the crowd outside, and then you got people and fans and stuff. It's really shocking and new especially for a kid. You know, the kid that's never experienced anything like that before to go through, and it did take a little bit for me to get it dialed in, but it's just so much within it that you have to like reel your mind in. That's the biggest thing I'd have to say is once you reel your mind in, then you can kind of control the emotions of your body.
You do a great job explaining. Like, I feel like I was on the bull right there. I want to get into PBR. But first, I want to play a game. It's called Beers and Bulls. This game's presented by Ag Gear.
All right.
You know Ag
Come on,
Gear.
the best.
Shout out Robert and Devin, all those boys. And I'm just going to ask rapid fire type of questions. You just, whatever comes to your mind. Hardest riding bull you've ever been on?
That's a toss up. Like, stayed on or not stayed on?
Not stayed on. Just like when you've gotten on the bull, what's been the hardest ride you've ever had in your life?
That's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I kind of forget about the bulls I buck off, so I want to say it's a toss up between. Actually, it's probably Goodnight Robo Show. I did stay on him a couple years ago. Really huge bull. I had burgers, big blue roan bull. Moving forward, stout. Kind of tries to set you up in the box. Doesn't really give you the fair shot, but he gives you a shot. And super strong. Like, probably one of the strongest bulls I've been on.
And what was the name?
Goodnight Robo Show.
Wow. And he just knows.
Yeah, like, he, at the time I got on him, older bull. Like I said, big bull. And kind of leans towards the back of the chute. Kind of stands out wide. And for a bull rider, that's always tough to get by. I mean, for a right-hander, too, because he leaves out a left-hand delivery, you don't have as much secondary options, I guess you would say. And he can go left, he can go right, you don't know, and it's always moving forward. When a bull's moving forward like that much, it's always trying to get you back, and I don't have long arms. Some guys do, but I'm not one of them. And so that power can come to the end of my arm fairly quickly. But I just put out the effort, gritted it out, and made a 90-point bull ride on him that day.
Love that. It's a good answer. What does Keyshawn Whitehorse like doing outside of bull riding?
I love to fish. I love to golf. Don't always love to work out because sometimes it's really hard, but I do like to work out quite a bit. Hang out with my girlfriend. And I like to play video games. I'm a big COD guy now. I just got back into it. I had a few years hiatus of gaming, and I finally got back into it again. But
now you're back.
Yeah,
I love that. You watch the TV show Yellowstone?
I do.
Favorite character on Yellowstone?
It's easy. Mo Bringsplane. I mean, not only is he a great actor, but he's a great person. We have him as one of our support guys on our team for Arizona.
Okay.
So he shows up to a few of the events, and man, he's a great dude. One of the best dudes there is. When you think of actors, you think like, oh, they're kind of all about themselves, and they always want to talk about the next show they're going to be on or movie they're going to be on, or that you look at him and try to hold a conversation and it looks like they're thinking about something else, but he's just a normal dude just like us, and he's all there, and he loves bull riding, he loves rodeo, and it's great to have him there in the locker room. It's great to have him behind the chute supporting us, and it's getting great to know him more and know about his background more, and just kind of seeing what kind of person he is. And as far as I know, he's getting to know him more. He's fantastic.
I love that. Seems like a guy that, he's not in character. I mean, that's just who he is.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's no acting there. He's just himself.
Absolutely.
I love that. That was great. You answered that quick. Thought maybe you'd come up with like a rip or somebody. I understand. All right, I'm going to give a little scenario and a little announcement to describe a bull rider. I want to see if you know who I'm talking about. He's a $7 million bull rider.
Pretty easy. JB Mooney.
What do you think about JB?
JB's a great dude. One of the best to ever do it. Old school cowboy mentality behind it, but that doesn't take anything away from his ability. that just goes to show how much, and within anything you do, mentality plays a key. Um, Mentality plays a key in everything you do if you want to be the best in it. And within JB, he shows that because he knows how tough you got to be a bull rider, and also how competitive you got to be, but also how locked in every single time, but also how to have fun with it, not to make it and turn it into a job. Because when most people have jobs, they're not looking forward to doing it the moment they wake up, versus him or some of us, or a lot of us guys in bull riding, the moment we wake up, we love bull riding. We want to watch bull riding all day. We could watch bull riding if we wanted to all day. If our bodies allowed us, we could get on bulls all day, every single day. But it is such a physical demanding sport that you kind of have to limit yourself, partially to doing it. But he's a guy that pushed through all his trials and tribulations to become one of the best bull riders in the world. But not only to become one of the best bull riders in the world just by getting on, normal bulls, but he got on some of the best bulls and rode the best bulls in the world.
I love that. Beers and Bulls, presented by Ag Gear. Thanks for playing. Hey, y'all, it's Pat, and I'm here to talk about one of my favorite companies in the world, Ag America. Ag America is your go-to financial partner for all things agriculture. As the largest independent financial firm dedicated to rural America, Ag America is changing the game of ag lending and leveling up financing options for farmers, ranchers, and landowners all across the nation. And I'll let you in on a little secret. The thing that sets this company apart from the rest is the people. They understand firsthand the unique needs of American farmers and ranchers because many of them grew up on farms themselves. They take a farmer-focused approach to finance, prioritizing relationships over transactions to help you build a stronger financial foundation for not only yourself, but for your family. So whether you're looking to buy land or secure working capital, Ag America has your back. Visit agamerica.com today to learn more and see how they can help you achieve long-term financial success. Because don't ever forget, when farmers thrive, we all do. We'd like to take a minute to talk about Blue Otter sunglasses. Blue Otter sunglasses are the shades of choice for country superstars like Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, Riley Green, and Hardy. With Carl Zeiss scratch-resistant lenses, Blue Otter has partnered with Ag America to create the Like a Farmer frames, which benefit farmers and ranchers in rural communities. 10% of each purchase of the Like a Farmer Blue Otter sunglasses goes to Ag America Giving. Go to blueotterpolarized.com and search Like a Farmer. You can also go to likeafarmer.com and click on merch. All right, let's get into the PBR. So this, and keep in mind, I'm trying to continue to educate myself in PBR. I love the idea of it. By the end of this year, I'm going to be Mr. PBR. Okay,
All right.
Mark my words. But you're coming into the PBR 2018. You get Rookie of the Year. Like, how does that even feel? And how does that even happen? 2018, you're saying, "Hey, I'm going into the PBR." Is that kind of how it goes, or do they recruit you? Give me the rundown on how to actually be in the PBR.
All right, let's break it down. So when you're 18, you can buy your membership. From there, they have lower division events. At that moment in time, there was no team series. They had Touring Pros, they had Blue Death Velocity Tour, and then they had, obviously, PBR Canada, Mexico, all these other ones. But they also had, at the time, it was called the Built for Tough, which is what everybody tries to get to, which is now called Unleash the Beast, UTB. So when you get your membership, you sign up and you start trying to enter events. They have events. They send you an email, the events list coming up, when to call in, when call-ins close, and when to know whenever you're in the event, you call back, your callbacks. And so you try to get into the velocities and you try to get into Touring Pros. To get to the UTB or Built for Tough, you have to be one of the top 35 guys in the world. Unless you win a velocity event, you get a singular invite to the Built for Tough. So you enter up, you gain points, you gain status by placing at these lower division events. For me, it took me a couple years to get to the point of being on the UTB fully. So I went to my first towing pro in Fredericksburg, Texas. First one ever.
And this was in 2018.
This is a couple years prior.
Okay.
Fresh 18-year-old, first PBR event. I took second there. From there, I went to a Velocity Tour event in Pendleton, Oregon. Rode my bull there, but didn't place high enough to really get any status. Time goes by. 2016 is when I went full throttle. And I won my first Velocity event, which is, I'll go into a little side quest story. I won my first Velocity event in Salt Lake City. I was born in Salt Lake City, July 24th, which is Pioneer Days, which is like the biggest thing going on in the state of Utah. It's a rodeo, big fair, everything going on. So that's part of feeling for me why I'm destined to be a bull rider as well. But that was the time I was born in Salt Lake City. And so my first event, Pendleton Whiskey, or no, it's not Pendleton Whiskey, it's Blue Death Velocity Tour, Velocity win, was within Salt Lake City. Prior to that, growing up, I spent years, it was more of like a family vacation. We would go down to Arlington, Texas. They had this huge event PBR did called the Iron Cowboy. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
I have, yep.
So they had that. We would go there every year and watch.
Yep.
My folks would save up money to get us good seats, and I would stand. They have 2 arenas within this Jerry's World, and it would be split down the middle. So the best seat in the house is to be directly in the middle so you can see both sides evenly. Well, going into my years of being able to actually qualify, I'm struggling. Make a little bit of money here, but not really win anything. My older brother was talking to me, and he's like, well, if you don't qualify for the Iron Cowboy this year, we're not going to go, because what's the point? You're able to ride in it this year. You can qualify for it. So, figure out what you're going to do, basically.
Yeah, you don't want to not qualify and then go and watch.
That's
kind of...
for me at that age, it was kind of one of those deals where, like, I get it, but at the same time, it was, like, our tradition kind of thing. And I'm still a kid, so I'm like, well, why couldn't we still watch? Like, I want to watch, But now, like, obviously at the age I'm at now, I'm like, well, I'm not going to go, guess if I can qualify. Well, anyways, going to Salt Lake City, kind of the time rewind to 2 weeks prior, I went to a touring pro, had just barely any money in my pocket. I ride there, pay my entry fees, buck off. I bought my flight to Reno, Nevada, like that week, because I had to ride in Reno, Nevada that week. But I didn't have enough money to pay for entry fees. So I'm sitting in the parking lot of the stockyards with my dad, have 75 cents to my name, going to the next one, bought my flight, bought my hotel, but don't have $75 to pay for the insurance fee to ride at the Velocity. I call my aunt up and I ask her for money. Well, she ends up helping me out. We go to Reno. It was a 1-day event. I ride my bull there, but don't place high enough to win any money. Go back home brokenhearted, because at that point in time in my life, I was grinding, man. I don't grind as hard as I did physically then. Like, I balanced it out more because I'm a guy that's like, I like to have my life. I'm still obsessed with bull riding, but I know that my mental capacity, in order to have a good bull riding career, I have to give myself something within my life, whether it's fishing or golfing or whatever.
There's such thing as a work-life balance. For
sure. I go back home, put in my 3 days again, because that's all I've been doing. Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym, working out, playing basketball for my cardio, stretching for an hour, going in the hot tub to recover, go home, either got a call to get on practice bulls around noon, 1 o'clock, or if that didn't happen, I was getting on my barrels for an hour again, or running hills, relax again, get on my barrels for 2 hours in the evening. That's like what I did every single day. all day long. And trying to figure out what to do with my bull riding career. Like, at this point, it's like I'm putting in the work. Why is it not coming along? There's an amateur bull riding down in Mercedes, Texas. They had a finals event. And I had gained enough points because I went to a few of these events prior and to qualify for it. Well, I don't have any money. Who do I call again? My aunt.
Gotta call the aunt.
Ask her one more time for some money. And
Shout out Keyshawn's aunt.
yeah, for real.
I mean,
you're the real one, you know. So I go to. She ends up paying my fees again. I go down there, and I had already called in Salt Lake, not knowing how I'm gonna get there, but I have no money. But I'm like, well, I guess we'll see how this finals goes. If I don't do good, then I'm just gonna have to turn out and maybe get a job, something, do something. Well, I end up going to these finals and I think second, or I win it. I can't quite recall, but I know I make like damn good money there. I go there, take all the momentum I've gained from that finals event, the amateur finals event, take it to Salt Lake, win Salt Lake. Salt Lake was a qualifier for the Iron Cowboy in Arlington, Texas. And now I've put myself in prime position. I remember right after Salt Lake, the day after, I called my brother. I'm about to fly home. I'm like, hey, bro, guess what? We're going to the Iron Cowboy. Because he said, like, we're not going to go. So he was super ecstatic about it. I know I, like, put a smile on his face. And I was pretty happy for him. I was happy that he was happy. I was more happy for him. Just, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, for sure.
So 18-year-old Keyshawn, behind the chutes in one of the biggest stadiums in the country, if not the biggest. I think it is the biggest. I'm qualified now for our Iron Cowboy. I'm putting in my hours. I'm training. I have a buddy's horse I'm getting on to work on my legs, work on my leg strength, work on balance, work on timing. Because getting on a horse bareback is so key for bull riding. I get home, and my mom, first thing she asked me, she's like, you know what bull you have for an Iron Cowboy, your first bull? And I'm like, no. And she thinks I'm joking around. She's like, stop lying. You do. You know what you have. And I'm like, honestly, I don't. Like, I've been training. Like, I haven't paid attention to it. She's like, you have Mississippi Hippy, which at that point in time was the largest bull in the PBR. Mississippi Hippy weighing over 2,000 pounds. Not 2,000 pounds or close to 2,000 pounds, over 2,000 pounds. Huge. Biggest bull I've ever been on to this day.
Wow.
18-year-old Keyshawn. And I'm just like, no, you're not right. So I pull out my phone, I check my emails, and sure enough, there it was. And for a second, there was a little bit of distraught. There was a little bit of like, out of all the bulls they have at this event, why this one? Well,
I love that. 18-year-old on Mississippi Hippy.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I catch myself immediately going into that mindset, and I stop it, end it there, and I'm like, you've been putting in the work, you've been training, just trust it.
And let me stop you there. Like, it's just a random draw.
It is a random draw.
Okay.
And so that time, the Iron Cowboys bracket, you face off against another guy. All that matters is you either stay on longer than that guy or you score higher than that guy. Show up to the event, and it's just like I felt right at home because I'd been there for so many years. Felt peace over it. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't like shook by anything. Like, it's just like, okay, well, we're good. I remember putting my bull rope on, or getting my bull rope and getting ready to put on my bull. So when you have a bull rope, you have a body of it, which is this other half. You have a tail, which is what you see hold on, and you see guys wrap around their hand. The body is made to adjust for the size of the bull. And you have a loop within your body that you tie on, and you can move that loop up and down. You make the loop bigger. If the loop's bigger, it's for a smaller bull. If the loop's smaller, you have a bigger bull. Well, never in my life have I ever thought, maybe I should just take the loop out, because the body is made of two strands. Oh, it's one strand, and it's it kind of makes its own oval within that leads into the handle of the rope. I literally thought maybe I should just take my loop out and run it through this body because this bull's so huge. Well, I literally have a loop in my rope that's like this small. Like, it's tiny. It's itty bitty. And I'm like, well, I guess that'll work. I go into the chute, and I've never seen this bull in person. I've only seen him on TV. I mean, just about every bull there I've only seen on TV.
Yeah.
And they roll him into the chute. This bull is so big that they have these slides within the bucking chute that's supposed to close behind the butt of the bull. This bull is too big. They don't close the slide. They put a flank rope behind his butt that leads into the next bucking chute behind him. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know this was possible. Why would you bring a bull this big, you know? And I'm like you said, I'm 18-year-old Keyshawn, like, all right, whatever. And I knew Silvano Alves at that time. Like I said, I'd practiced at Palermo's house, and he was there. So he knew me, and I saw him behind the chute. I'm like, hey, come over here, help me out. So I get in there, and a couple guys ahead of me, so I sit down on my bull and get my rope hot, get everything situated. Now it's to me. I get my hand tied in, and I'm trying to slide up on my bull rope, because where you want to be before you knot is like pretty much sitting on top of your rope. The only thing you want pretty much showing is like your hand. You're on top of this bull rope. You want to stay on as close as you can to that rope as you possibly can. By this time, I got my left leg. This bull leaves out a left-handed delivery. I slide up. I got my left leg where I want it. My right leg's a little bit behind. And I'm telling Silvano, push this bull over so I can get my right leg forward. Push him over. And they're trying to push him over. Telling my dad to push him over. And I realize he's not leaning. He's just that big that I can't get my leg down all the way where I need it to be. And I finally well, shoot, you know? So I have my left leg down here, and I have my right leg up like this, and I kind of just wiggle it and maneuver it to where I can move it up as far as I can, but I can't get it down all the way. And I realize I'm just going to have to nod like this, and the moment I nod, I have to drop it. So I nod, drop my leg, and he goes out there. He doesn't have his ordinary trip, but nonetheless, overcome it, ride him. At that time, if you get a re-ride option at any point in time, you have to take it. It doesn't matter what your score is, unless it's like above 80 or something, but you have to take it. And I'm like, get off this bull. I'm like, dude, I just conquered this massive animal, and I'm jacked up. I'm like, everything, first ride on tour, stay on, it's qualified. Like, I see the re-ride flag, and I'm just like, damn. I'm like, I'm moving on, but now I'm like, wait, not quite yet. I'm not moving on yet. So I get on another bull, and it was Jared Allen's hot iron. Jared Allen, professional football player,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
At that time, he had bulls, and another tough bull to get by. Didn't really know him, but stay on him to move on. And next, you know, I'm the talk of the town at that moment in time, because there's potential now that I could progress and keep progressing and win it. Move on to the next round. Get on Cochise, which is another one of the biggest bulls I've been on. Big old yellow bull, down horn, come from the Wentz's family from the Northwest region, and at that time, and he bucks me off, but everybody in that round bucks off, so everybody moves on again. And so it's like, all right, well, we got to go back at it again, you know. And next round happens. I draw 7 Dust, a black bull. I can't remember who he comes from. I think he comes from J.W. Hart. And one of the meanest bulls at the time. Mean. He bucks me off within 2 or 3 jumps, and that's where my story ends for that Iron Cowboy. And I'm just like, I wasn't mad. I wasn't disappointed. I was just kind of honestly, I was like, shit, I made it a lot further than I thought I would, kind of thing.
Hell.
You know, I believed in myself, and I know I can win. But the thing is when you go into that and you're facing guys that you looked up to your whole life, you're kind of like, all right, well, some of the best guys in the world that I've looked up to, I made it past them, you know. and not trying to downplay their career or anything, but
Yeah.
or their talent or their ability, but I was like, you got it, like, you got it in the bag. And from there, my story kind of just goes in and out. It was a tough path, man.
When you win these velocity events, is it like big money?
At that time, you win about 6,000, so pretty good for a weekend. You rack them up. Your month out of that can be pretty dang good.
Yeah.
It's for normal jobs. Everybody doesn't get $6,000 in one day. At that time, so it's pretty good. At that time, the velocity tour was really difficult. You got, I think it was like anywhere between 60 or 80 points from winning the event, and then it kind of degraded down from placings from there. But you never got round points. It wasn't until later on they introduced round points. And the UTB, or the Built for Tough guys, they would get like 100 points for just winning a round, and then like 300 points or 500 points for winning an event. So it was like damn near impossible to make it to the Built for Tough. My riding percentage was higher than majority of the guys on the Built for Tough during that time. Like, there's guys hanging on in 35 that had like a 20% riding percentage, and I was over here pushing 50.
Mm-hmm.
So I was up and down throughout the year, and I remember at the end of the velocity finals in 2016, I was this freaking close, man. This close from qualifying to my first world finals, my first full season in the PBR. I was going into the velocity finals 39th in the world. So basically all I had to do was like probably place like top 5, if anything. My first bull ride there, I was 7.8 seconds. Second bull ride, I was 7 seconds. And my third bull ride, I was 85 3/4. And it didn't qualify me to the short round at the velocity finals. Like, so close from greatness, basically, to make it to my first world finals on my first full season. I was very, very heartbroken. I go home back to Utah, and I'm just hanging out. World finals started, and they're like, well, maybe you want to stay because you can be an alternate for the finals. And I was like, screw that. I said, I don't want to do that. I said, when I make it to the world finals, I want to be solidified. I want to be the guy that made it. I don't want to be put in as a guy that just, oh, we need you, come in.
Mm-hmm.
So they called me, and I turned it down. I turned down the World Finals invite in 2016 as an alternate. 2017, I was a man on a mission, but injuries held me up. I had a inguinal hernia that happened midway through the season, so I took most of the year off. But as soon as 2018 rolled around, I was back at it and on it hard, and training, getting on practice pools during the week. Won my event in Lexington, Kentucky, and from there it was kind of like all gas, no brakes. Went to Kansas City, rode one bull there, but the next event, St. Louis, I went in the short round. I rode 2 out of 3 bulls. I think I took second or third at that event. And throughout the year, it was riding good, and then hand injury pops up. Still to this day, I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's the arthritis in my riding hand that kicked in really bad during that time. But I couldn't hold on to my bull rope. And I'm like in the lead for the Rookie of the Year at this point in 2018. Because now I actually have status within the UTB, or Built for Tough at the time. So I can actually, I considered a rookie.
There's a lot of golf-esque when it comes to these tours. You
Right,
feel me?
right.
Like kind of like the mini tours.
Exactly.
And then you've been doing the mini tours for 5 years, but when you make the PGA, you're classified as a rookie.
Right. And I am back home trying to figure out every possible way I can get back to where I can be riding on tour. So I go to this practice pen that I've been going to all year prior and stuff, and I'm like, dude, my hand hurts so bad. Like, I can barely hold on to this rope, and I tape it up every single way. I put lidocaine topical on it to try to numb the pain. Nothing's working. I get on, I'm like, okay, I've never ridden left-handed. I get on a steer left-handed. I'm like, that feels all right. Okay. Well, there's a guy in PRCA, his name's Trevor Rice. He rides overhand instead of underhand like how you normally do. So I'm like, well, maybe that won't hurt my riding hand. So I get on a steer overhand, tied everything in. It's all backwards. It feels weird. It's like odd. Get on a steer like that. I'm like, oh, that didn't hurt my hand. That feels all right. Well, let's get on a bull now. So I get on a practice bull, and it's so different because you go from like being able to use your lats and your shoulder and your bicep and everything to pull you close to your rope when you ride underhand. Well, when you ride overhand, it's like more of your traps and just your lats that are your main strength to keep you on your rope. Well, I get tied in, I'm sliding up on my rope, and I call for him. First jump out's good. Next jump out goes to turn back to the right, and he takes everything from me, and I don't know how to like gauge it. I don't know how to stay on the rope. I get dumped. And there now I'm just like lost in the practice spin. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, how do I come back from this? Like, I got a whole nother half of the season to go, to try to like finish this thing out. I'm not gonna let this freaking hand hold me back. So I give it some time. I end up getting my hand injected and let that play out for 2 weeks, kind of relax. And just like that, I'm back. But not pain free. But now it doesn't stop me. My hand doesn't freak out to where it can't hold on to the rope. I can hold on to the rope. It hurts like hell, but I can hold on to it now. So I just lather my rope in rosin just to keep my hand shut. And I go out throughout the season just like that, winning rounds and stuff like that. Just hands hurting, but ice it after every event and go into the World Finals ready to go. At that time, there was a few guys in my rookie class, but Colton Jesse was right behind me. And round after round, disappointment, man. Disappointment. It was as good as we ride, me and that guy, it was a pillow fight, I do have to admit, in the finals, coming down to the line. Because we were not giving off our best performance. We were just getting dumped by the best bulls in the world, but we're getting dumped. We had the ability to ride every single one of them. And by the last round, before the short round, it was make it or break it time for both of us. Either if he stayed on, he had a chance to win it. And if I stayed on, I had my chance. I go in the locker room before we're picking. I'm looking at the draw sheet of bulls to pick from. Mm-hmm. At that time, Dakota Butter, a Canadian guy, he was there at the finals. And I'm like, hey, man, I know a lot of these bulls, but there's a few of them in here I don't know. I'm looking at all these bulls. I'm looking at bulls that try to fit my strong suit, which is bulls that go to the right. And he's like, points out this one bull. He's like, hey, man, I don't think anybody here knows this bull. He comes from Canada, and I think he'll fit you just right. I'm like, okay, well, I got this bull and this bull if I don't get to it, but I trust you. So he's like, yeah, I think it'll be good. They're going down the list. Guys are picking. I see these like badass bulls that I'm like, dude, this bull would be great for me. They're picking them. Yeah. Picking them. And I'm just like, it's getting down to the line. There's only these handful of bulls, and this bull's still there. And I'm just like, man, hopefully nobody else has figured this bull out, like that they know him. Finally gets to me as fast as I could possibly say, because I feel like somebody would try to take it from me. Wicked Dreams. Walk out.
What was it?
Wicked Dreams.
Wicked Dreams.
Show up the next day, and I'm like, this is it. And prior to that, all the nights leading up to that, my dad was there early. He showed up just about when I showed up to the event. That day, I'm getting ready, and the show's about to start. My dad's not there. And I'm thinking, dude, is my dad disappointed in me, I'm like, dude, does he not want to be here? Is he embarrassed of me now, All of a sudden, he shows up in this, like, comical shirt. It's a long sleeve shirt with no collar, and it's all Benjamins all over the shirt, but it looks like a suit jacket. And so I'm like, what the hell? Well, we get there and find my bull's loaded up, and I'm like, I know nothing about this bull besides he should go right. Well, for me, I like to figure out if a bull is pretty calm, if he's really hot, just because he puts me in the right mindset leading into it. I don't want to get a bull that's like bad in the chute expecting he's going to be good and not knowing it's going to be kind of a dogfight in there. I want to know if it's going to be a dogfight or not in the chute. And so I don't know anything. I go to put my rope on him, and this bull's just cracking in the back pins, just in the lead up alley, just over his head. He's literally like, I put my rope on, I go to pull it to see if I'm in my rosin, knocks me off. Get back up there, pull it again, kicks, knocks me off. I get to the point where I'm like, I think it's good, screw it. Whatever, we're just going to ride, man. I got the bum, we're just going to ride. We're not even going to worry about it. We'll figure this out later. Bull rolls in the chute, and sit up. When it's about to be my turn, I go to sit on this bull, and he freaking cracks at him in there. At this point in time, it's either I stay on and win it, or I buck off and hope that I win it. And so I get everything right. Finally, there's a dogfight in the chute, trying to handle this bull, and this bull's right there around the right. Gassing it. I mean, I don't know how many rounds we made. Spinning it up. End up, I think it was like 89 3/4, like a quarter of a point shy from being 90. And I'm so jacked up because it was just like a multitude of emotions going from being the little kid, growing up watching the PBR and making the finals. Then it leads into the struggles of 2017 of my injuries and feeling so down on myself that I didn't make it, to going in 2018 feeling good, everything, living the dream, and then all of a sudden I can't ride because my hand and not being able to hold on to my bull rope. And now it's like all the hard work's paid off. And granted, it's not a world title, but at that time it's like, it's just a wonderful feeling, man. Like I can't explain it. Like getting to that point and seeing the results finally after putting in hours and hours and hours of work, it's a feeling that is kind of above all. Having my family there, being able to see my family happy for me, my dad happy for me. But the biggest thing is behind all that is my dad told me good job, but keep getting more.
I loved that, man. So basically, you win Rookie of the Year with arthritis, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, from all that, that's what I gathered.
Right.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Right.
And you mentioned a bunch of these, I'm saying famous people that own bulls. Like, that's such a cool hobby because there's one, I've got a great team, been doing some research on you. Dana White's bull, Twisted Steel.
Right.
I mean, you rode him, right?
I did. I was the first one to ride him on tour. I don't know what it is about me. I think it's kind of becoming a more common trend, and I'm not mad about it. That some of the bulls that have been unridden for a while, I'm kind of the first one to ride them. And
hey, just put Keyshawn on the bull. Nobody's ridden it, but he'll figure it out.
Right.
How was Dana White's bull?
Dana White's bull in Albuquerque this past season, I got on a bull called Blackstone, steps on my hand, my free hand, right before the short round. I'm like last guy out in the long round. Last guy out. Hands hurting. I think it's broken because I can't grab anything. C Sports Med, they're like, are you going to get on the short round? Hell yeah, I'm going to get on the short round. I'm in front of my people, and I'm ready to go. Like, it's hurting, but I'm ready. I don't know much about this bull. I've seen him a few times. I know he bucks hard, but everything I've seen, I liked. There wasn't anything dirty about him the way he bucks. He doesn't try to, crap you off and do these weird moves that are really hard to get by. So, going into the short round, you get to pick your bull. I had a decent pick, but not the best, because I had one around prior to that. And I'm looking at the list, trying to decide. I don't remember what bulls were up for availability at the time, but I'm like, that's me. I saw it, and I just knew it was me. Go up there, pick that bull. everybody's jacked up because they're like, oh, like basically like, why are you gonna pick that bull, you know? Because there's other bulls in there that's been ridden and stuff like that. So I go back there behind the chute, bull's loading up. Seen this bull in the back pins, and I know he's a little hot, he's a little mean, but don't think anything about it. There's bulls that are like that, but they stand good in the chute. I go to put my rope on. I go to pull it up to tighten it to see where I'm at, measure it out, and he cracks him just kind of like the Wicked Dream, bucks in there. And I have this rope tied around my hand, and dude, I like I try to hold on to my rope and my hand's hurting. I'm like, oh, screw this. My dad's there. I'm like, screw this. I'm gonna leave this to my dad. He's put my rope on before. He knows what to do. I said, Dad, put my rope on. Like, get it right. I gotta go over here, tend to this, get my mind get in the right headspace. Bull loads up, and I just know that I have to keep myself calm. For me, you know, everybody has fight or flight instincts. Whenever I get hurt, I get mad. I get mean. Like, I'm pissed. Like, sometimes I have to apologize to sports med because I'm, like, talking shit to him. I'm like, screw you guys. I don't really say that, but I'm just, like, I'm pissed. Like, I'll be, like, knocked out, and I'll wake up, and then I'm mad, and I'm like, they're like, we'll help you up, and I'm like, let go of me. Like, I can walk out on my own. I'm fine. Like, that's the biggest thing my dad taught me. It's like, if you can walk out on your own, walk out on your own. So I'm pissed. I get in the chute. His bull's throwing a fit in there. And I'm just trying to stay calm. I'm not trying to get overly jacked up. I'm just trying to keep level-headed. And I'm kind of feeling this bull out. And I noticed, like, if I moved to the right a little bit, he'd move to the right a little bit. If I move a little bit to the left, he'd kind of move a little bit to the left on the chute, in there. But I just kind of leave that. I kind of keep it in the back of my head, but I'm not focused on that. So I get everything tied in, pound my hand, starting to slide up nice and easy. And when I slide up, I kind of slide up to the left-hand side. Because bulls, they can feel flat on their back. They know. And usually, when a bull feels you on one side, they go the opposite direction when it comes to bucking because they know they can get a guy off. So when I slide up, I kind of slide up on the left side and make sure I'm squared off, nod my head, first jump up. I set everything kind of a little bit to the left. And this is like an old JB Mooney move. JB did it all the time. Like that's his moneymaker. He would always be offset away from his hand because those bulls fill you out and they would go the opposite direction. And you want a bull that goes into your hand because when a bull goes into your hand, you can make mistakes within that ride, but since it's the side that your hand's down, it's a little bit stronger. You don't have to ride off the balance as much. You can kind of muscle your way a little bit. So first jump up, I'm sitting to the left, and boom, right there, one jump around the right, up and down, and I'm just chewing them up. Every round, I'm just making sure I'm staying in the zone. And next thing you know, I'm feeling good. Start kicking loose, start spurring, and once I get off, electric. Like, the whole building's going crazy. I'm jacked up. My dad's jacked up. My buddy on my team, Nick Tess from Canada, he's jacked up. And, like, those feelings are feelings you live for right there. Like, I can't explain it. Like, I mean, I guess maybe, like, it's like a kid, Christmas Day, you get the present you've always wanted kind of thing, you know? And, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just one of those moments that, like, I live for those moments.
You won that round.
I did.
So you've beaten Dana White's bull.
Yeah.
You're 1-0. Love that. I'm excited to talk about this because this is, and I will say, and I think this is going to help the popularity when you think about the PBR. In my opinion, I think it's a toss-up. I'm probably leaning a little bit towards NASCAR right now, but when you think about the most popular, non-bat and ball sport, you think about PBR, NASCAR, F1, etc. So I think PBR is rising in popularity because of this new thing that they're doing with the teams. So 2023 happens, now you got teams. So I'm calling it's draft day.
Right.
I mean, you're in Nashville, right? Is that where the draft was Nashville?
So the first team series, I would like to say, draft happened in 2022.
Okay. And how many teams at this point when it comes to states are there at this point, like in 2022?
So there was, I think there's 10 teams now.
Yep.
At that point in time, there's only 8 teams.
Okay.
Missouri having 2 of the 8 teams. And, I mean, at this time, I qualified for my 5th World Finals. And draft day is happening. I'm there. They had the draft at the Texas Live in Arlington, Texas.
Yep.
Sitting there, waiting for my name to be called, and it never does. No Keyshawn Whitehorse on the podium. No team picked me up. And
damn.
Talk about heartbreaking. Talk about total confusion. You know? I mean, to this day, I don't know. And it was one of those deals where I was pissed off, but I was okay with it. My whole life, it's been a series of highs and lows, just like anybody else's. But the disappointment in that and the disappointments in my life, I always know led to better things. And looking back on it now, I wouldn't want to have it any other way. I mean, I've never really been one to cry too much, but I kind of teared up a little bit because it's like, the hell's wrong with me, you know? So I came out of that draft day with a vengeance. They still have touring pros and at this point they call it challengers now, and so I said, I'm gonna win every single one of these suckers, so they realize they messed up. And I go home and I'm training. I'm putting in the work every single day. I got my weight down. I'm getting dialed in on my craft, and then right before I'm about to hit the road to go hard during the summer, I get a phone call from Colby Yates, the head coach, or at the time he was the assistant coach for the Ridge Riders. Head coach
Arizona.
now. Yep. Head coach now. And he's like, hey, man, we lost a few guys due to injury for our preseason events. And we're needing some guys. And I was a little timid at first, because for me it's like, why you want me now just because guys are hurt, you know? I'm like, screw you guys, screw all of you guys, not just him, but like screw all you guys, team guys. Like, I've been to World Finals more than a lot of these guys that you guys picked up. These guys that you picked up, they've never even got on tour before. Like, no, I don't want anything to do with you guys. But I said, just pretty much let me think about it. What's the deal you got offered? And eventually I kind of agree. I agreed to it eventually, but still very timid into it.
You got a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I move on to go up north to go to a few challengers and go to my first one, buck up. I ride, but I win the next one after that. And it's just like all summer long I'm winning these King of the North events that Chad Berger put on. And I go into the team's events, and I'm ready to show them, because for me at that point in time, like you said, I have a chip on my shoulder. Well, you think I can't ride? You think I'm not good enough? You think I don't belong here? I mean, in my mind, I'm like, obviously I do. I just qualified to my 5th World Finals. Not anybody does that. I'm one of the best bull riders in the world, one of the top 35 guys in the entire world. You know?
Love that. Let's go.
So,
side note, real quick, if you win the World Finals, how much money and he secured the bag?
So you win the World Finals. You can win the World Finals without being the world champion.
I want to know, if you're the world champion, the biggest, baddest purse out there, how much do you win?
So if you win the world title along with winning the World Finals, because generally those two go hand in hand. Total season earnings, you're probably walking away with, I want to say, 1.5 mil.
Yeah, you're getting it done.
1.7. because then you win the world title, you get that $1 million bonus. I mean, the World Finals alone, you can walk away with $300,000.
Yeah.
So, and throughout the season, events range anywhere between 30,000 to 200,000 you can win. So, I mean, in the rounds there at the World Finals, this year was a little different. They had some rounds that were 30,000, and they had the later rounds that were 50,000 if you won the round.
So you're getting it done.
Yeah.
And on the team aspect, back to the team side, are you signing like long-term deals?
Some guys have. My deals I've signed have always been yearly.
Okay. So this year in Nashville, the draft was in Nashville.
This year the draft was in Nashville.
And you go back to Arizona.
So since I was always already solidified on the team from the prior seasons,
Gotcha.
I stayed on the team, but when the draft happened, they had I forgot what it's called, but they had some type of supplemental draft or something prior to Nashville. At that point in time, since I have only signed yearly deals, I was up for grabs from another team. And Colby calls me and he's like, dude, we're doing everything we can to keep you on the team. Like, because I don't know why, like, I just couldn't get re-signed or whatever. It had something to do with, because the 2 new teams coming on board. Oh, it was the expansion draft. And, but he's like, we're working on it. Like, we're trying to make deals with these guys to keep you on the team. If you go to another team, we're going to cut a deal with them.
Because expansion-wise, now this is what I'm saying, educate me here, like a hockey or something like that, if they expand, they basically can pick.
Yes, that's
like,
right.
Like, teams have to let a certain amount of people
Correct.
up for grabs.
Correct.
So is that the same way with PBR?
Yeah, so there was only a certain number of guys that they could protect, that they could hold on to for sure.
Yeah.
And
hockey.
Honestly, man, he called me leading up to it. Colby's the kind of guy, like, when he's talking to you, you can hear how he's feeling. Like, if he's feeling pressured, you can tell he's feeling
what's
pressured.
about to come out of his mouth. Yeah.
So he's talking to me, and he's like, dude, I don't know who to protect. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, me, damn it. Like, I'm your guy. Like, because years prior, like, I got put on some of the hardest ride bulls, and yeah, there's times that I didn't get them done, but there was times I got them done when we needed to get it done and won the game for us. And I'm like, yeah, I could ride these other bulls that these other guys are getting on, these bulls that are badass to get on. I stay on those bulls all the time all season. But me, I'm like Dennis Rodman here. I'm the garbage man. I'm cleaning it up, So
Love that.
Like, pick me, you need me, because you could use me for whatever. If you could use me to get put on the good bulls that guys should stay on, because I do ride those bulls, or you can use me to get put on the bulls that are hard to ride. So I don't see why I'm not valued in a way, but he understands and he knows the value I have to the team, but he didn't want to lose certain guys, and he felt like other teams wouldn't pick me up or felt like they didn't see me as valuable as he saw me. And he was like hoping and praying that nobody saw the value in it, because just like the other teams, like the other sports, you were saying, like, you can only protect the number of guys, but then if you wanted to get a hiring guy based on statistics, then it cost that newer team more. I think they were using like balls or chips or something like that. It cost them more of that. So there's a lot of movement going on, and apparently I didn't watch it, the expansion draft going on. I didn't. Not because I was afraid to watch it. I was training. So, like, I didn't know what was going on. I guess my girlfriend was watching it. She went out for a walk, and she's like nervous and stuff, because honestly, throughout the past 2 seasons and even now, honestly, I don't see myself on any other team. Like, I feel like I don't get along with the other guys or fit in other places as much as I do in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so, apparently at one point in time, they thought I was going to go to New York. And, like, my girlfriend, I guess, was freaking out. And my mom's like, whatever. And then eventually it passes, and I get to stay on the team. And I get a text from Nick Tetz, my teammate, and he's like, you're here for the long haul, buddy. glad to have you still,
Well, it's time to sign you for a long-term deal.
Yeah. I don't think anybody on our team has a multi-year deal.
Well, you're about to be the first one.
Right.
We need to get you down here in Florida. I'm going to be a big... Florida's team is the...
They have the freedom.
Freedom. Yeah. Go Freedom. I'm a Freedom guy.
You're a freedom guy? No. I'm not a freedom guy, man. And so...
No, it's really cool to see this new aspect. I think it's going to bring more fans to the game, the sport, and I'm excited for it.
Oh, without a doubt, dude. Like, I remember Cheyenne, first event of the year, neutral ground. Nobody knows what's going on. Everybody's like, bull riding teams. Like, there's been some stuff kind of similar to it. PBR had a Global Cup event where it was like USA. It was like Olympics. USA, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, stuff like that. But not once has it been like teams like within cities and stuff. So that event takes place. Everybody's like, man, I don't know about this. Like, I don't think this is going to be good. Like, I don't think anything's going to come out of this. This is going to be a one and done kind of thing. For me, I keep an open mind. I'm just like, whatever. Like, it is what it is. We're just going to go for the ride.
Yep.
Second event of the season, Kansas City. Kansas City has a team, the Kansas City Outlaws. So every team has an intro to announce, just like, every other sport. You got, you get the Dallas Stars facing, Toronto or something like that, or whatever. So they have their walkouts and stuff. So, Nashville walks out. Other teams walk out. Well, they always say the home team for last. And I tell you what, that's when I knew it was going to be something different, is when Kansas City walked out in front of, I think it's called the T-Mobile Arena now. It used to be Sprint. But when they walked out to introduce them, and the whole building went crazy for the Kansas City Outlaws, I was like, okay.
I love that.
I was like, all right. Because now everybody...
They have something to cheer for.
Yeah. Before it was like fans show up, a lot of people... Since we're going to cities, it's a lot of times it's people that never been to bull riding, never been to rodeo in general.
But they have a team to cheer for.
Yeah, so they didn't know anybody. Yep. Maybe if it was people that kind of knew, they maybe only knew like one or two guys, or unless they were like longtime fans, they knew everybody, but they only had their favorite guys, a couple guys. But now you can go to a city and it's the city cheering for a whole group of guys on one team, and they have something to like pay attention to, and pay attention to this group of guys on this one team, and they want them to win. They want them to do good, and it is very special. I mean, that first event taking place there, and now like when we go to Glendale, Arizona for our event, having the people there, like it's ecstatic. It's amazing. Now I am very curious to see how this weekend plays out in Sunrise, because this is the first time it's ever happened here in Florida for them to have their bull riding team here.
I think we're going to show out. I'm changing my mind. I'm an Arizona guy. You got any Arizona gear? Do y'all like sell merch and stuff?
So we can deck you out in black and silver. I mean, we're kind of expanding with the gold now a little bit more. Get you an RR on you, and we'll get you going, man.
All right, I'm an Arizona guy. All right, there we go. Arizona fan right
Hey,
here.
Tell you what, man. I mean, I know here down in Florida it don't get too cold, but that Arizona Gulf something else too in the wintertime.
That leads to the, we're going to wrap this show up when it comes to, I want to know Keyshawn off of the bull's back. I mean, what's next for Keyshawn when it comes to just outside of bull riding?
Man, that is a very good question, and I spend my days pondering on it. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot I want to do with the background of bull riding to help out the native community with bull riding. There's so much I want to do now, but I'm so busy every weekend for the most part, and the time I do have off, I either spend it training or I finally spend it having that downtime and kind of having some mental clarity. I think for me in my future, I do see myself wanting to expand the bull riding community to heighten the level of not only like Navajo bull riders, but all native bull riders in general, to get on this level more consistently. Basically, I explained it yesterday to Flint. The way the Brazilians came in, so like Adriano's like the pioneer for Brazilians. Adriano Moraes is like the pioneer for Brazilians, for them to come into the United States, to get into the PBR, to become one of the best bull riding, I guess, group there is. I mean, now there's PBR's flooded with Brazilian bull riding talent. I want to do the same thing, but with Native Americans.
I love that.
I want them to come in and just clean house. I want them to show how good they are, because there's so many great Native bull riders out there, Navajo bull riders out there that ride on the res that are phenomenal. They have the ability to ride any bull. There's guys out there that are way more fundamentally sound than I am, more technical, that have the riding ability, that have the balance, but they might not have the guidance, they might not have the support, they might not have the pathway to know exactly what to do, or the mentality behind knowing who they are and being true to who they are, and knowing that it's okay to be them and go out into the world and be successful, or whatever it may be, And because when you do go step outside the res, it feels lonely. It feels like the whole world's against you. It feels like you don't have any support. And that's something that I do want to do in the future, and help the younger generation, not just like the guys that are, up and coming 18 or whatever. I want to even affect it to the youth, to where it's like a whole training camp, a whole deal of, for me, in my mind, I want to make it like a Camp Woodward kind of thing for the youth, where they can go out, they can get on bulls, have fun, go to the lake and just mess around, a safe environment for Native kids to go play at the lake or whatever, go ride horses and just do stuff that a kid would do, but then at the end of the day, growing in their craft, because that's kind of like what Camp Woodward's about, a safe environment to like go do these things and have fun with other kids, but at the end of the day, they're skateboarding, they're riding their BMX bikes, getting better, there's mentors around them and stuff like that. That's what I want to do for the youth, and then also for the older guys, is bring them over and show them and guide them. I know that's a lot of work to do, but that's something I believe in, and that's something that I know that can happen, because time and time again, it's proven itself that we are good enough to be on tour. Ty Murray has a Native American invite for Albuquerque, and there's been times like here recently, Jacoy Hale, a new Arizona Ridge rider, he went to Albuquerque, showed up and showed out, and did really good there, and made a point to get on tour from that moment in time. Guys like that are from back home, they have that ability, they have that talent. They just need a little bit of fine-tuning, a little bit of guidance, a little bit of just every little part of their life, whether it's mentally, physically, or spiritually, just knowing like, okay, there's support out here. There's guys out here that I can trust. There's people out here I can rely on, that if I do have questions or if I do need support, that they're going to be there for me. For me, that's a big thing, and I want to do that. I'm just figuring that out. I have my personal goals still in mind, but that is always in the back of my head that I want to come to one day and slowly build on. I know it's going to take a lot of support from outsiders, when it comes with help from other people, helping putting training camps on or whatever it may be, and money as well. But that is something I do want to do, and a program I want to install within the community, because at the end of the day, it's going to give those guys a life that they've never imagined, or maybe they did imagine, and they can see it through finally. And
finding a way to give back.
Yeah.
I love that. We got to find some time to tee it up.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, like I said, I'm not a pro golfer by any means, but I do love the golf. The whole month of July, my golf game went to shambles. I was a mid-80s player there for a while, and now I can't seem a way to break 100, man.
We'll figure it out. I got to get out to Arizona, and we'll get you right.
Yeah, come on.
Appreciate you coming on the show today.
Glad to have me.
This was exciting. The Dennis Rodman of bull riding. The garbage man. Appreciate y'all tuning in today, and as always, continue to like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you gotta do to be like a farmer.